What is up, everybody? It's just me today. So, first of all, if you're new here, this is going out as a part of a Kickstarter update on Honor's End, which is live on Kickstarter right now. But if you are here and you've backed Honor's End, welcome. Welcome to the show. There's usually another person here with me, either Austin or Lily, but Austin's in Florida. Lily's working from home today, so you just got me today. So usually the show's a little bit more interesting than this. But first of all, if you're here and this is your first time, watching a video of ours, what's up? My name is Zach. I'm one of the founders of the studio. I'm one of the game designers, creative director as well. Nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. If you backed Honor's End, thank you for backing Honor's End. If you didn't, also, thanks for being here. Few things. If you'd like to get involved with the stuff we got going on here, one thing you can do is subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do weekly update videos. Sometimes we're just talking, about updates on projects and deliveries. But then a lot of times we're just talking about what do we do this week? What is it like to make board games on a day-to-day basis? Let's see. What else? What else do we do? No, mostly that. And we just kind of goof around. You can get to know us a little bit. We can get to know you. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about we're going to do a little mailbag. We're going to hear from Austin, who is in Florida. He went to Florida to be a part of a Dice Tower live stream about Honor's End. He just sent me some videos. I'm going to splice that in here. No idea what he's going to say or what that is even about, but you're going to see that here in a little bit. And we're going to talk about Honor's End, specifically some of the things we've been working on and testing for later enemies for the chapters. Because one thing we've been hearing a lot of is just like, hey, like what do you got planned for enemies in the future? Because, these enemies are a little bit simpler and maybe, what kind of variety will there be in the future? And I think that's a great question because there isn't a ton of variety in the cards that we have shipped out. There's only 6 enemies that we shipped out to folks for, without the chapters. There will be 9 base game enemies, but then at least 3 enemies in all 9 chapters of the narrative. So you're going to end with, what is that? 27 plus 9 is 35. 36 at least, right? I don't know. So, we launched a game this week. It's been a long week. Math out the window. There's going to be a lot of enemies, right? And very intentionally, we wanted to give people, we wanted to stagger out the more complex topics. We're going to get into some spoiler territory, and I will have marked that on the YouTube video. If you are in and you're like, cool, I'm sure they're going to be great, new fun enemies, I don't want to know nothing about them, skip ahead. This is your warning. Skip ahead. I'm going to be talking about stuff that you're going to unlock in the chapters. All right? Okay. Bye. If you don't want spoilers, this is your last chance. Get on out of here. Skip ahead. Okay. So, in the chapters, we're unlocking a bunch of new cards. Obviously, lots of new heroes, new enemies, but also we're unlocking new components and we're unlocking new entire game systems. And there's 2 that are kind of a big part of enemies. We're going to talk a little bit about those systems. I won't give any narrative spoilers, just some of the systems that hopefully you can then extrapolate forward. What, how that might end up making a lot of variety in the enemies, because I'm really excited about them. Also, these are actively being tested. So you don't hold me to any specific balance stuff here, because some of this stuff might just be broken as we're testing it. We might need to swap it out, maybe change up the numbers a little bit. The big concepts are going to stay the same, but the little, minutia, that will get updated as we continue to playtest. Also, good reminder, please playtest stuff. We're playtesting these chapters. We're kind of taking out all of the art and the narrative stuff and just giving playtesters from chapter 3 on just the raw gameplay stuff. So if you want to playtest, get your name in the rule book, but don't want to be spoiled, I think that is possible, right? You might be like, oh yeah, I play tested something that was kind of like this, but now there's all the art with it and stuff. I think you're not going to ruin a chapter for yourself by getting in on a playtest. You can do that by jumping in to our Discord. Okay, first overall concept that we're going to talk about is status effects. We're going to look at two specifically. We will have at least 5 negative status types in the game. We are testing more, but we're going to look at 2 today. I'm still working on iconography for them, so they're the same iconography. But these are things that enemies can throw at you. So for example, someone might become terrified or staggered. Those are 2 of the ones that we are going to look at. So if you become terrified, you're going to get this small card. An enemy might be like, choose a player to become terrified. You'll get one of these status cards that'll go next to your board. You now, as long as you have terrified, cannot shield double dishonor faces of danger dice. Not good. And then most of these statuses have a way to temporarily disable that status on this turn, and then also a mechanism in which you need to remove it. So in this case, on a turn, you may disable it. So you tap the card to disable it by playing a shield. So one of your shields is gone just to get rid of this. And then you can shield it a second time to discard it. So now all of a sudden there's somebody out there who's, really down for the count and can't help with shields as much. You don't want to give them as much danger dice to roll. Then we have staggered. So if you're staggered, every single dishonor face is actually equal to a double dishonor face. It's terrible. You might be able to survive it, right? Like you can still shield dice as you normally would, so you might keep it for a while. And then you disable it using inspiration dice, and you can remove it with a double inspiration dice. So yeah, really excited about these. It's a way for enemies to affect you in a totally different way. There's a lot of design space that we are messing with and testing right now in this status space. The other fun way that this injects stuff into the game is every time we introduce a status effect, one of these status cards, you will also get a trait card at the end of that chapter to then inject into the adventure mode. So there's the story mode, which is what we're talking about now. That's how you unlock new content and also experience the story. In the adventure mode, you just pick random bosses, and then between each, you draw a trait card, which has a positive effect on the top and a negative effect on the bottom. When we give you a new status effect, you get trait cards that come with it. Nothing to do with the story. You just have unlocked new content for adventure mode that introduce negative traits as a part of, as a negative on one of these cards. So as you unlock this stuff, it just injects itself automatically into the adventure mode. And of course you have the enemies that also use this stuff, maybe even some heroes and equipment that use this stuff. So yeah, that's a whole other challenge mechanism that we have to work with in designing enemies moving forward. Then, secondly, one of the unique challenges about designing the chapter mode is you actually get quite a bit more powerful in the chapters, right? Where we have these moments where, because of the narrative, you need to inject in new heroes, you need to inject in loot that is outside of the normal mechanisms of getting loot, which is the temple and monarchy track. But we also want every single thing you unlock, all of the enemies, to work well in adventure mode, but it doesn't have all this extra stuff when you're playing adventure mode. It doesn't have all these injections of loot and stuff that upgrades your deck. So in the chapter modes, we need ways to essentially amp up the threat. There's lots of ways to do that just baked into the narrative, but one of the ways that we do that is modifier cards for enemies. So if you're familiar with, if you play the game, you'll know that there are, that's real small, but we'll just talk about it. There's like different abilities that get activated. So for example, it's turn 1, on this card on turn 1, the red ability is activated. In this case, that's pick a player to discard 2 cards. We have some things in the chapter mode that introduce cards that sit alongside of enemy cards and add more abilities to like, you know, there's another red ability, and then some kind of mechanism that turns off that ability. So you can go for the boss, or you can turn off these, like, you know, smaller, like, pet cards, or, you know, like, this boss has a bunch of guards, and, like, do you want to deal with the guards or not? And that is also opening up a ton of design space for us as we are testing these final chapters. So yeah, those are 2 ways that we are adding just a ton more spiciness to the cards. And it is very much our goal to make these final, you know, as you progress in the narrative, things become a lot harder. And also, we just wanted to make those first couple chapters, you know, a good time. There's going to be people out there who have never played a deck builder before in their lives, and this might be their very first time playing it. And we wanted to make sure that, you know, we didn't throw too much of them at you right away. And that is something I think we as designers have to fight against, because a lot of not fight against, but a lot of these pre-release copies that we send out are sent out to influencers, and also sent out to our tour, which are people, you know, if you're coming out to a board game tour for a Kickstarter game, you play a lot of board games and you know what you're doing. And you don't want to get carried away with, like, oh man, we need to make this, like, these first chapter. I feel this a lot. People are like, oh, this first chapter is so easy. I think it's really easy too. But then it's a good reminder that there are people out there losing this first prologue, and we want to bring you into this genre, this world, in a way that's very, very easy to learn, and not, like, super punishing. And then we just stack mechanics as you play and as you bring things out, with things like statuses or things like modifier cards on enemies or players. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed just a little bit of a peek behind the curtain in what is coming. So yes, spoiler section closed. Welcome back to you who have who didn't want spoilers. I meant to say this at the top. Also, if you are new here, our Discord is a great place to hang out, meet new people. You can jump into games of Honor's End and a lot of our other games and other non-games. And now we are going to kick it to Austin, who sent me some stuff. Austin, take it away.
What is up, everyone? I am at Game Bash in Fort Myers, Florida. I came down here to record with the Dice Tower, did a little live play of Honor's End, and now I'm spending the next 2 days here playing some games. I just played a game called something. Dang it. All right, I played Chronologic. Chronologic was a puzzle game, almost like Turing Machine. I think it's the same publisher. And you're trying to figure out when, like, certain characters were in certain parts of the map at the same time. There's, like, different puzzles that you have to figure out. I definitely did not guess too early and lose and have to sit there and watch everyone else figure out the game because I got overconfident and thought I had figured it out. I definitely didn't do that. I also played Draftosaurus. Draftosaurus was super cute and fun. Definitely want to get that played with my kids. I played another game. I played Rolled West, which was really fun, little, like, roll and write. And yeah, it was great. I lost because I rolled 4 wood at the same time, and that was not a good roll. And then I also played something called Sentient, and I'd never played this game. It was incredible. Really liked it. Basically, you had dice at the top of kind of this row on board that you had, and you were trying to play cards in between it, and the cards would be like, the dice on either side of this are equal to each other. And then it would be like, tick this dice up on the left and tick this dice down on the right. And so you're trying to, like, figure out this puzzle of, like, how to make the rules true while the cards were manipulating your dice. So that was called Sentient. I think that's the favorite game I've played while I've been in Florida. Other than Honor's End, of course. Speaking of Honor's End, the live play went great. Me, Camilla, and Joey were able to win. It was very close, though. Joey was rolling really, really bad, so I thought we were basically screwed. And I may have made a little bit of a faux pas, and in the fact that I was trying to say, Joey, it's all your fault. And instead, I said, Joey, it's all your fart, which is not something you should say on live stream. Unfortunately, this is not the first time I've said something accidentally on live stream that you're not supposed to say, but we're not going to talk about that because that was embarrassing. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to be here playing Honor's End. I think we're going to play a game of Tend. And then, yeah, I'm flying back to Nashville this weekend to work on stuff there. So that's what I'm doing. I hope you are having a great time playing Honor's End on TTS. If you're not doing that, you should definitely give it a try. And yeah, appreciate all the hard work that people are doing, putting in naming and doing flavor text for cards. Excited to do more of that throughout the campaign. So thanks, everyone.
Well, thank you, Austin, for whatever that was. Again, I have not seen it, but I'm sure it was great and awesome. And I'm glad you're having a great or a terrible time in Florida. Don't know which. All right, onto the Q&As. I just posted this on Instagram. Usually I post it on Discord, but I forgot. Sorry this morning. But next time we do a Q&A, I'll do my best to remember. All right, we've got two similar questions here from Lord Kuzan and Jay Stegman 89. Who's your favorite hero from a gameplay perspective, and then for general aesthetic? I change it all the time, especially as we still got new art coming in for a lot of the later chapter stuff. So a lot of my favorites are buried back there, but spoilers. So as far as base game goes, I really love Alchemist Snively. He's holding a pot, a potion, and he's just got like a cool look to him. He's got a vibe. I don't know what's in that potion, but it's probably not FDA approved. All right, then we have favorite from a gameplay perspective. It's very interesting. In general, there are a lot of, like, our goal for heroes is like, a good hero is someone you can build a deck around, right? It's like, this, in a certain scenario, every hero is like, okay, this is what makes my deck tick. I'm trying to draw back to this card, so then it'll set up my really big synergy or really big turn. But I also love these kind of push your luck cards where it's just I'm going to play this. It doesn't give me another action unless I draw what I need. But Sister Vivian, she doesn't continue on. She gives a inspiration dice and draws a card, and then her tuck underneath is it requires two icons, right? An owl and a lion. But then she gives you 2 draw and an extra action. It can be risky, right? But you can very likely draw into this and roll into this. I tend to be somewhat unlucky, and that doesn't always happen, but it feels like it's going to happen every time. And she can just make your entire deck run, and I really love playing with this card. Okay, on to the next question. Aaron says, how crazy do the late game bosses get? We covered that a little bit in the spoiler section, but pretty crazy. That's, yeah, we throw lots of new mechanics, new stuff that we haven't even shown you. There's lots of surprises. They get thematically crazy, and they get pretty hard. We want the ending to be tough. Probably take a couple times to pull it off. I want more cards. How many cards will the final product have? Let me check. A lot. We keep adding more, and I don't want to over-promise. So on the Kickstarter page, it says 100 plus unlockables in the campaign. So this includes things like enemies, heroes, action cards, equipment, consumables, traits, statuses, and modifiers. It is well over 100 of those, and that doesn't even count extra, actual other game pieces that aren't cards. But yes, currently it is, well over 100 cards. Some of those are enemies, but the rest of those are just deck buildery stuff, like equipment, consumables, modifiers, statuses, all that stuff. So it's just a lot. We're pushing the limits of our quoted things. So it's just a whole lot of content. I'm not giving you a specific answer, but it's more of just we have to test all this stuff, and so we don't know exactly the number. But yeah, it's a lot of cards, a lot of content to be unlocked in this thing. All right, coming back to my questions. Will there be new gameplay expansion coming in the Kickstarter campaign? So no, nothing new planned, but as we just said, the chapters themselves unlock so much content for this game. Yeah, more would be like with a hat on a hat. There's a lot of stuff coming when you play through those. How long does it take to learn/teach the game to a new player? So Zach, who's our lead play tester, he's kind of got a pretty quick teach down where it's just like, hey, here's general concepts, and then we can kind of get going into that first prologue and kind of learn as we play. And I think his teaches are around like 10 minutes. I've got a how to play video, and that's over 20 minutes, and it kind of gives you a sense for how long you can play. But there's very much especially if you play a deck builder, kind of all right, here's general concepts, why don't you get into it, and then we can kind of teach as we walk through the different phases. But yeah, if you played something like Dominion before or Moonrakers, you'll be right at home here and get playing really, really quickly. Will expansions in the future only extend to new chapters or also gameplay upgrades? I think there's room for both. And, no promises about the future. A lot of our expansions and future content really are in response to the reaction to the game, right? Like what are people liking? What's working? Where their spots to fill in mechanically or difficulty wise in this case. And then also like this one's like there's a story, so we kind of gotta, if we're gonna do another volume, I gotta write a new story. So, but no, I think there's space for micro expansions that are just like here's a card pack of 15 new heroes or something like that. But then there's also space, hopefully, for more stories in Volume 2. Will there be a TTS mod for the adventure mode? That's a good question. I was going to say yes right off the bat, but we have been running the prologue and the chapters and stuff. So I don't know. Let me get back to you on that. Maybe I'll ask it and then put it in the comments below. All right, this is getting a little long. I saw a retail section on Kickstarter. Are you going to sell honors and in store? So that, I believe, section you're referring to is probably for retailers. That's for friendly local game stores to order a bunch of stuff and then they can sell it at their stores. And then we do a Kickstarter and then it goes out to the people. And then we have a version that's different than the version that you would be getting on the campaign. The deluxe version, you're getting the Kickstarter deluxe version, which has upgraded dice and upgraded boards and all sorts of things. It's all on the page. That version and the base and potentially the base version will be on our website moving on. But yeah, if you're into the game, the first way to get it is on the campaign. And also, you hopefully don't want to miss out on all of the Kickstarter exclusive things because those will not be coming to our store later. All right. Thank you for submitting questions. It's been a great week. I'm heading out to California with the fam for next week, just for a couple days off, which will be very nice. Hope you all are having a wonderful week. Have a great weekend. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next week.